Welcome to the Peace Place. I'm Judy, penman of Prayums. Bring you a prayum this morning, which is a prayer, which is in poetry form. It is called Gaining All, for we live in a world that is much attempt to divide and destroy, and it doesn't have to be that way. With the power of prayer, the power of God's plan, His creative plan, we can learn to be vessels of love, peace, and joy in the world. We can be part of solutions rather than division. I bring you an invitation this morning to be part of the uh, attempt for unity as we learn to understand that God is real and God is present and God still has a plan and God has a greater power than anything in the universe. And we learn how to align with that. It's really a process of learning that God is much more than an intellectual concept. He teaches us step by step if we're willing to learn and listen. So I bring you an invitation this morning to allow the Holy Spirit, the creator, the healer, the teacher, the leader, the guide, everything that we'll ever need about truth and wisdom we can each learn to be led and be guided and live in a place that is of perfect peace beyond all understanding. I know it's a rare thing because we have so many offerings that artificially bring us to a place of peace. But there is a way, there is a process there, and God teaches that as we learn to listen to Him, as we know Him, as we learn to abide in His presence. He teaches everything that we need, no matter how weak, no matter how far we've gone astray. It's not bigger than God's plan and God's ability, and for God is able to lead, guide, restore, do everything that's needed to allow us to live a life of peace. So this morning, I invite you to join me, ask Holy Spirit, even if you don't know anything about Him, as you learn to start calling on the name that's above all names and understanding what all of that means and what God's plan is. He is faithful to perform His word. So this morning I bring to you Gaining All, some questions for us to ponder. We're not victims in this. We really are and can be victors as we learn to understand what the real rules are, not man's distorted ways. So gaining all, what might be gained if we all seek to agree? What might be available if we're willing to see? See hurting, fear-filled hearts that are living in terror. Are we willing to discover where we're all in error? Will we settle for multiplying damage and strife? Are we willing to explore what is turning the knife? Are we willing to examine how our strategies speak division and destruction? Is this all we seek? Where's civility and respect and requiring truth reveal? Peace foundation for our nation. Are we willing to seal, find and seal truth, and listen to more than our already formed thoughts, and learn of the truth, plan, and power God brought for us to follow? For all of my lifetime, which is now 7 decades, I didn't understand that God was real. God was a flat and hollow word. God was something that I learned through my intellect only, And I didn't realize at that time my intellect and emotions were intertwined. And there was much from the way that life was as I developed that helped me developed actually helped me survive for this moment, for such a time as this. But the survival mechanism strategies that we learn early on often have a root of division and competition and destruction rather than a root of love. Throughout this journey of life, I studied many, many things to discover how to reside, how to stay in a place where I could hear from the source of love, hear and sort out what was love and what's not. We have everything to gain by allowing ourselves to be transformed, by our minds being renewed, by our hearts being healed. We have nothing to lose, but everything to gain, and yet much effort in this world. And most of the patterns and the ways that we have learned to survive are without the idea that there is love way beyond what we understand, an unconditional love, that that love of God who created us to be in his image and to be pure and holy vessels on this earth. But how often are we taught that? I think that we are in a time in a season because God teaches us that he wants to touch everyone. He wants not one to perish. He wants each person to know the tenderness and the intention and the purpose and the plan that he spoke from the beginning. God is wisdom, all wisdom, and we know very little about that. And we need to humble ourselves to be able to admit that we don't know, because there are so many agendas that act like they know everything. But little do they know that there is nothing hidden from the mighty God. His plan is good, and his plan is to prosper us. So I invite you to join with me as one that begins to question our own motives, our own agendas, for it is only when we become connected to the one that we belong to, that love of the universe, that we can be a useful vessel to have relationships and bring peace to who are around, instead of bring the defensive lies that we live, the defensive destruction that we often have become a part of without even knowing it. So as we begin to examine, what part am I playing today? Have I embraced the solutions of the world, the solutions that divert everything except to the choice that each one of us make of whether we're going to live in peace? We have that choice. We can learn how to live in a peace that passes all understanding. We can learn the source of that peace, and we can learn how to walk it out and allow each step to be ordered. It's only then that we bring that kind of peace that passes all understanding to others. When we join, where two or more of us are gathered in the awareness and the love of God, he then multiplies the fruit of his spirit in us. I am amazed at what God will do when we come to agree. And then at that point, people will see God's love. And they'll see God's love through us when we're individually learning how to live in the peace that passes all understanding. And then as we listen for God's plan for the world, we can become useful vessels in that. That's what my heart is, my heart's cry is. There's been much that I believe that God has led me to be able to share. And if you're interested in that, you can search theprayhomes.com and thepeacemovements.com and our YouTube channel here. But my heart's cry is that we become into the image of God. Discover what that means and walk out our life fulfilling the purpose and the plan that He has for that. So if that's a heart cry for you, I'm going to just say a short prayer here and invite you to ask Holy Spirit, listen from a place that's not the metacommoning of your mind. Because if you'll notice, our mind has something to say about everything, even as I'm sharing with you now. Our minds have many things to say, and very few of them, as I search through this journey, very few of them are the love of God behind it. So join me now, Holy Spirit, mighty God. Oh, Lord Jesus, we invite you into this place right now. We believe that you have a plan for us. That plan is good. It's a plan to prosper us. We believe that you created us in your image with the uniqueness of each one of us having our own fingerprint. God, we can't even understand through our limited mind how you do that, but we believe that it's possible. You said, for those who believe all things are possible, if we have faith the size of a mustard seed, we can speak to a mountain, it will move. While I speak to the mountain of division, speak to the mountain of deafness that we have from hearing our voice. Your voice, I'm asking you now to unplug our ears. I'm asking you, God, to draw people with an unmistakable drawing of your love, your peace, and your tenderness to your heart today. I say, let your kingdom come, your will be done, your plans fulfilled, and we will bring ourselves to you as willing, humble vessels to be molded and reshaped to be useful in these next days. We just come to you grateful today that we can even pray together. We thank you that you're teaching us about the power of unity, the power of agreement, and the power of prayer. And we give you all the praise and all the glory for all the goodness that you're going to pull out of something as simple as a prayer and hearts turned to you. So we come to you grateful, and we come in Jesus' mighty name. So today, something so simple as reminding that we can pray without ceasing, that we can seek God's face and God's heart, and for Him to do whatever He needs to do to bring us to a place that we can be led, hear from, and be led by the power of His love. I just come to you today so grateful that we have the privilege and the technology to be able to come and learn and pray together. And I invite you to join us and search out the other things that we're doing to bring the understanding. He tells us, God tells us to get understanding, to bring it forth, to bring people to a place where they can know His amazing saving grace. So this is Judy, penman of Prayers, grateful woman, signing off for today.